What's going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome to Knicks and Six right here on the MSG Networks YouTube page. My name is Kazeem Famuyide, and I'm here with the one and only Bill Pidto. Bill, the rise of RJ Barrett has been a bright spot in an otherwise underwhelming season for the New York Knicks. RJ has been on an absolute tear, especially in the month of February, where he averaged 28.3 points per game throughout the month. Now, granted, he was hurt for some of those games, but we have seen a change in RJ Barrett's attitude and, more importantly, the way the team responds to him when he has it going. What has stuck out for you the most when it comes to the rise of RJ Barrett this season?
All right, so you mentioned the great numbers in February, and that's off the January that he averaged about 21 points a game. So 21 points a game in January, 28 per game in February. Too bad he missed a handful of games there with the ankle injury. And then he starts March with the 30-point game against Philadelphia. Without question, and it's not even close, this is the best stretch of RJ Barrett's career. And the thing that strikes me, Kaz, is that now the first option for him is going to the basket. I think before it was to settle for the three or the outside shot. Now, number one option for him with the ball in his hands, get to the rack. We see how he gets fouled time and time again. The one thing hopefully that can get better is his free throw shooting, because as he says himself, he gets frustrated when he doesn't make as many as he would like, but he gets to the line. He's great at finishing, and he's not relying on the outside shot. Now, the one thing also of note that I've noticed, and I think is something to watch here, he does very well starting the offense with the ball in his hands. And that's kind of changed here as his point production has gone up. And given the Knicks' problems getting in offensive sets, maybe it would be even more effective if RJ started the offense with the ball in his hands every single time down the court, because it seems like it's been working out.
Yeah, Bill, you mentioned two things there that really stuck out. One was obviously the free throw shooting. RJ Barrett in his career high 46 points could have very easily been a 50-point game had he hit a couple of those free throws late into the contest. And secondly, you mentioned how the offense starts with the ball in RJ Barrett's hands now. Obviously, the need for a true lead point guard has been paramount for the Knicks this season. But one thing we could probably take as a positive is exactly what you mentioned, is seeing RJ Barrett much more of as a playmaker and not just as somebody who's on the receiving end of somebody else creating plays for him. One thing I have noticed a lot is how he works out the pick and roll, especially with Mitchell Robinson, right? Like, he starts up on that high corner and goes off that pistol set. And a lot of times Mitchell Robinson is getting a lot of those wraparound catches, getting easy dunks. He's starting to see shooters out in the corner. The point production is great, but what really is going to separate RJ Barrett for the next level is how he can elevate those around him. That's the mark of a true superstar. We see it with a lot of the young guards in the NBA. We see it with John Morant, what he's doing in the Memphis Grizzlies. And what we need to see with RJ Barrett, in addition to continuing to score and continuing to be aggressive, is becoming more of a playmaker as well. And, really trying to get out there and making those young players around him feed off of his energy. I think now when we see RJ going to the hole, like you mentioned, and being as aggressive as he is, he's getting way more attention than he did last year.
To your point, Kaz, about setting up teammates, RJ's doing more than just scoring. I mean, he's scoring so much that we're not paying as much attention to his rebounding numbers and his assist totals, but he really distributed well in the second game against Philadelphia, 6 assists. His rebounding is always 5 to 8 per game. Got the assist total normally between 5 and 8 per game. So if you're going 5 to 8 assists, 5 to 8 rebounds a game, ballpark, and then scoring 25 a night, I mean, you've got yourself a complete player. So I think the scoring has been so impressive that we're not paying attention to these other numbers that are as equally impressive in many ways, in that he's able to fill up the box score here on a nightly basis, more than just scoring the ball.
And I think lastly, another thing that we really wanted to look for RJ going into this season is the challenges he's taking on the defensive side of the ball. Not only is he scoring a lot of points, he's going on the other side of the ball and guarding the Jimmy Butlers of the world, guarding James Hardens of the world, and that's what the true mark of a two-way player in the NBA. You can't just score points all day long. You got to go on the other side and make a difference on the defensive end of the ball. Granted, those are some mega stars he was going up against, but the fact that he's taking the challenge to guard those guys says a lot about not just what RJ thinks of himself, but what the coaching staff and the front office feels about RJ taking that responsibility to shut down the other team's best player.
All right, so we got the last quarter of the season, and perhaps the biggest storyline of all, the development of RJ Barrett. And we're all going to watch, because if they end up with RJ Barrett at the end of this year being an A-plus player, that changes the dynamics and the potential moves that the team might make. If the conclusion is that Barrett is in fact a franchise player, which we didn't know coming into this year, maybe we finish this year with that conclusion. And Kaz, that wouldn't be the worst thing, that's for sure.
Hey, you could be in worse places than having your best player be a 21-year-old kid that you drafted not even 3 years ago. So as much as there have been some downtimes this season, that's something that a lot of Knicks fans could look at and be happy about. But that's it for today's episode of Knicks in 6. Thank you for joining us right here on the MSG Networks YouTube page. That is the one and only Bill Pidto. I'm Kazeem Famuyide, and we'll see you later at the Garden. Take it easy.
See you next time, everybody.